Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to another episode of Top Tier Talk. Elliot, starting with you. A very, very bad week for your football club. Hopefully, it's better this week, but what's your review of the last 7 days?
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, not good. It seems to be we're living up to the expectation of rival fans, severe bottlers. It seems to be the case that at the moment as well as we speak, Man City are only 3 points behind us now with the same amount of games played after losing to Bournemouth, which is very odd. Obviously, we've lost both times to their seeing them this season, both at their ground and at our ground now. So it's a big feat. I think it's the first time they've ever done that. So it's a very strange situation, which look, again I really couldn't care about if we managed to beat PSG tomorrow. So I think a lot of us Arsenal fans are obviously preying on the fact that PSG live up to their expectation of being severe bottlers as well, and then we can obviously go there with our one of our main out midfielders, Partey this time, and play proper football. But look, let's get back onto the game where we lost 1-0 against PSG, where Dembele scored in the first 5 minutes. It was a very odd game. It doesn't seem like the fans didn't turn up. The players didn't turn up. There was no kind of oomph that we had against Real Madrid like we did at our own when we played them. So it was a weird one to see. Odegaard is really starting to do my head in at the moment. That guy has no character at all whatsoever playing these past, I'd say, 10 games. What is going on with that boy? So I hope something can be obviously found. Hopefully he's like saving it for these big games where tomorrow all of a sudden he comes out of like 3 assists. Who knows? I'm not sure, but he really needs to start stepping up. He is our captain, and obviously captains need to obviously do some self-reflecting and realise why they've been made captains so they can continue down being his club's captain. But honestly, in the game, it just didn't seem any fluidity as to how we've seen Arsenal play football over the past, say, 3 months beforehand, from like January to March. It's annoying because obviously we have it in us, and against PSG, we were just playing that same robotic bullshit where we were just playing side to side, blah 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 blah, and then unfortunately we have a couple players in that team who actually deserve to try and get something out of it, which were Declan Rice, who obviously still plays fantastic football. He's worth every single penny, regardless of how shit the rest of the team does. But also Lewis Skelly. Lewis Skelly's only 18 and he's playing fantastic football. But unfortunately, he is left with the outlets of Trossard and Martinelli, who have no idea how to place a football or to even score a goal. There was an opportunity where Martinelli could have brought us back into the game, where Miles Lewis Skelly put in a fantastic through ball, and all he had to do was look up for once in his life, Martinelli, but he didn't because that's not what he's good at. It's a tough one because obviously there was like a time when we had too many attackers at one point and less defenders, but now we have more defenders now coming back, but less attackers. Obviously, Saka's a main outlet, but then they're going to like triple, quadruple up on him in the next leg now because he's probably our main attacking outlet. Martinelli obviously is like a what's that ostrich in the sand. He doesn't really like do anything other than that. Trossard, it's a tough one for him because obviously there's a lot of expectation around him to perform the way he did against Bayern when he scored that like equaliser. But then I guess obviously he's not our number nine, true number nine, so it's hard to expect such a performance out of him. So maybe even because now Partey's back, we can go and play Marino at that same position because I have so much trust in that boy playing up front for the time being. Um, so yeah, it's a tough one to take on the chin when you lose 1-0 at home as well, especially to PSG. Because as you saw, in my opinion, and I'm not sure if you boys watched the game as well, but in the second half, I genuinely think we had them a lot on the counter, and it seemed very easy to break down. So tough to take, but again, as you said, Chavez, before we got onto this call as well, people were obviously writing us off already, but then that's what rival fans do. They try and darken the morale around our fans as well, so then we don't appear like as a good fan base for our players as well, so then our players might not play as well. But what I'm hoping is, oh, camera decided to flip out a bit there. But what I'm hoping is we continue down our same back four. Partey comes in next to Rice with Odegaard. Odegaard, he's got to do something in the first half, otherwise I think he should be brought off on by second half if he doesn't. Up front, it should be Martinelli, Saka, and Marino, and that is our front three, and that is the one that I reckon will win 3-0 against tomorrow.
3-0. Is that
He's
is
got a bit.
is is
He's
that
gone
is
bold.
that is that your head or your heart talking?
That is both.
It's both of them. Okay. Chavez, you've been right. I mean, this, as you said before we started recording, this whole campaign. What's your predictions for tomorrow?
You're a bit excited to know the truth, Dan. Um, Yeah.
I'm joking. No, it won't be. I don't think it will be something extraordinary like 3-0. But this is a team that just came out of the Bernabeu and won a football match. So I'm going to be honest. As good as PSG are, Bernabeu versus their stadium, it's two very different propositions. It's so much easier to play there. They seem to be their own enemy. This game might not be more about Arsenal, actually might be more about PSG and them letting themselves down. They almost did it against Aston Villa of all teams. And that's why someone asked me, why did you say that Arsenal are going to win the Champions League? And I said that the moment Ezri Konsa scored against PSG and Villa were one away again from going through, I can't remember going through or going to extra time. I just thought at that point, there is no way this PSG team is able to yet. They're not there yet. And I think Arsenal are there. They've gone through enough pain, they've gone through enough suffering. Their players are old enough. Saka's not a kid anymore. And obviously, there's been one, I guess, thing we didn't expect this season was Odegaard in bigger games. He's kind of fallen off a bit.
Mm,
But this is the beauty of sport. Like he's got another chance tomorrow to prove it. I think you will win, El, but it won't be emphatic. I think it will be nervy. But I
mm,
don't think it will be more PSG will make some stupid error or something along those
yeah.
lines, and they'll cost themselves the tie. So if we will see how that goes. Yeah. And I would love to hear your thoughts on Bournemouth.
Yeah, fair enough. Unfortunately, I didn't really watch. I think I probably explained this multiple amount of time. I don't really watch Premier League games ever since we've kind of fallen off toward the tail end of February. So I'm more interested in watching the Champions League games because that's the only competition that I can see ourselves actually winning, as you mentioned. Because obviously for the past two, three seasons now, we've obviously come in second place. So it's almost like we're basically in that position at the moment, so it's almost like, oh, it's boring to watch now. There's nothing really. It's not necessarily not supporting the club. It's almost like they've let us down in the Premier League to the point where I'm not fussed about the Premier League anymore. They need to be able to provide a reason for us, like fans who obviously stuck by them in the 2020 season with David Luiz and all that, to be able to go out and basically, as you say, that suffering and pain, as you say, we've got old experienced players now who have played in these like Euros and everything like that with big players as well, have now got to show up tomorrow and basically provide a reason as to why Arsenal Football Club is still a big club. And as you say, against Bournemouth, we didn't do that. I guess I'm hoping the mindset behind that is because we're more focused on trying to keep every player alive for the game tomorrow. Which, look, fine credit to Bournemouth, they still play well against us, which is fair enough. They are doing well at the moment. I think they're seventh, which is obviously like a tight little squeeze from third to I think seventh at the moment, anyway. So it's obviously it's all up for grabs at the moment. But again, it all depends on tomorrow, really. As you can see, like we'll have to see. That's all I can say about Bournemouth. Is it's an unfortunate loss. It's an annoying loss. We were 1-0 up, and then all of a sudden we just capitulated, which, as per usual, it seems to be the case that we're doing. Which we'll have to see. Because then, let's say, for example, we do lose against PSG tomorrow. We then got Liverpool away, Newcastle at home. Do you know, like tough games still. So, and then worst case scenario is, let's say we go and lose them, then we come fifth or sixth. I mean, what the hell is that contrast? Because imagine like Villa, Chelsea, City, they all win their games and we continue to lose. They all move up the pecking order. They're only like 4 points behind us.
Yeah. Is
I,
his
I,
sixth
I
place going to be a Champions League spot? Is that
think
true?
fifth
Or
is. I don't think you'll finish. I think the lowest you can finish now after this weekend's results is like fourth, which again isn't great. Obviously, for years you bantered Spurs for finishing third in a two-horse race and so on.
We've got
But
three games left, Dan.
Dan,
Um,
why is it that you? Why are you saying that? Because
is
Forest,
it
like
not?
Forest, yeah, I saw you mention that before as well. But I think it's. Oh, it might be. I don't know if you've done the maths, but yeah, some of these teams play each other
Yeah,
actually.
that's what I
You're
was going to say.
oh,
They
okay,
play each other.
fine.
Forest play Chelsea.
Like,
Okay, okay,
yeah, the
fair.
weekend before, I think you had to they had to draw, and every one of those teams had to win, or I think, or something like that.
Mm.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
obviously.
Yeah, then yeah, we're pretty safe.
So
Yeah.
I think the case, like, to just finish up, I think you were right. I don't like to see it because surely you'd want to win as many games as and get momentum. But as you said, like being conservative for the Champions League game because you full well know you're not going to
That's
drop
our
out of
only
the top
saving
five.
grace.
You're not going to drop out of the top five. Like
Hmm.
so, like so, like,
It'd literally be Arsenal Football Club summed up to a T, where there's nothing to play for, and we go and beat Liverpool at Anfield 2-0 next week if we come out of the Champions League tomorrow.
well, Chelsea beat them
But what
last
I'm saying
weekend,
is
didn't
at
they?
Anfield as well, it'll be our luck because
It's a
well,
write-off
okay, well
game.
done. But
Yeah.
yeah, who cares? Exactly. They've won the Premier League already, and we have nothing to play for. Oh, okay, well done beating Liverpool 2-0. Do you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. It'd be typical Arsenal.
Moving on to you, Chavez. You scored 6 goals away from home this week, and you only actually won one of the games.
Hmm. No, I like how you put that. Yeah, the goals are finally being put in. We had a big chance. Well, we had a big issue of missing chances before, and we're slightly getting better. And that all comes through this week of Garnacho. So, as I said, Garnacho this season, the chances for some reason have fallen to him. I think that's a credit to him. As much as we criticize him, he's just been unable to finish them. He's underperforming his XG. He's one of the most, well, least clinical strikers in the league. But now that he's finding his form, and he's actually finishing chances. We're scoring goals, and it happened in both. Well, he didn't score in the first game, but he was in there getting involved, and then he scored in the second game and got an assist. But starting with Bilbao, they really tried to scare us. Welcome to hell was one of the things I heard, and they were 100% in the Europa League at home, but we are the only team that are unbeaten in European competition this season, so that didn't worry me. The thing that worried me was just playing in Spain away from home, and we got through that very quickly. I mean, it was a good performance. Fernandez was brilliant as he always is. I think this is the one thing where we're seeing a distinction between someone like Fernandez and Odegaard in the latter end of the season when the games really matter and it's the moments that matter. Players turn up, and Odegaard's kind of fallen off of that, and Bruno's kind of stepped up. Sorry to bring him up, but it's just an
No,
example.
agreed,
Uh,
agreed.
yeah. And I don't even know what's happened. There's some peak we're seeing of Bruno Fernandes is because he's playing multiple positions and he's still got the same output. He plays CM and he plays deeper and he still has the same goal and assist standard that he did in previous seasons. And then the player that really did well as well was Casemiro. I think Abrams mentioned how him and Casemiro probably didn't get along too well when he came in because Casemiro wasn't his cup of tea in what he needed in a player. Keep banging on about physicality, and Casemiro is lacking some because he's older. But I think they've just found a middle ground, and they're using him so well. He's been unreal. He's looked the best he has since I guess Ten Hag's first season when he actually was a bit better on his feet physically and younger. Now they found a new way to make him look better in the team, and it's just worked to a T. Because in European nights, there was no one who looked more comfortable that night than Casemiro, and that there and then, if you had to point to someone and say that man has won multiple Champions League and he's played in multiple big games, it was Casemiro. Other players were also that stood out. Mazraoui was very good. Yours, a youngster who looked okay. Because Bilbao, they as much as we laugh now that we've won 3-0, Bilbao were very good at the start. They were all over us. We had to contain and just hope for the best at the start because they had chances. So it was just all about who looked comfortable and who didn't. That's what I said in my ratings. So I was impressed with some, and Bilbao themselves. Then it was. I was surprised I didn't actually know the rules for that red card penalty. I thought double jeopardy wasn't allowed, but actually it's triple jeopardy because it was not only a tackle in the box that was worthy of a red, but it was also denying of a goal scoring opportunity. So
Mm.
therefore, not only was it a penalty, they also had a man sent off. Which, by the way, I think it's the right decision, but I think it's incorrect that VAR had to overturn it. I don't think it's enough of a clear and obvious error for them to overturn it. But fair enough, I'm not complaining. It won us the game. I did, however, say at 3-0 that if we do concede tonight, then we might be in trouble still. It's not over. And it's the point still stands in Old Trafford. Old Trafford's not the same as it used to be. And despite some good results there, we can lose there. We lose there all the time. And if they do get the next goal, first goal in the next game, then we could be in trouble. But I'm fine with 3-0. I can't really complain. I mean, it's a long time since we won 3-0 away in Europe. So it was nice to see a relaxed game, which again, that is also in itself a shock that we had a relaxed game of football.
Chavez, it seems to be the case that we're both on the same kind of path of we don't really care about the. I know obviously you don't because you're 15th or 16th at the moment, but we don't necessarily care about the Premier League anymore. We're more focused on whether or not we can actually get a trophy out of this season. Um, Now you've gone 3-0 up against Bilbao. Now you're at home. Let's say, for example, you and both Spurs go into the final. Are you confident you can beat Spurs in that final?
There's only one reason I'm not confident, and that's because Ange always wins something in his second season, and it's his second season. So that thing scares me. Also, I don't like how this is a big game for us, don't get me wrong, because it determines if the season was good or bad. If we lose it, it was a horrible season. We didn't win a trophy and we came, what, 16th, 17th, wherever we end up. If we win, everything is forgotten. But for Tottenham, it's the same exact scenario I've just described. Plus, historically, they don't win trophies. Any trophy to them is big right now, and it always has been. They could win a Carabao and it would be like winning everything because they just need a trophy. So I think the night matters more to Tottenham. So it worries me. It worries me, but I don't think they're going to get to the final. I said it to Dan before.
Oh,
I
really?
think that Bodo goal, the last one, really shouldn't have happened on their part. They shouldn't have allowed that Tottenham because Bodo Glimt are very good at home. They've been a good team so far this season. They've knocked out teams that we all said were going to make the final four. Lazio got knocked out by them. They are not a bad proposition. I think they can win by 2 goals at home and take it to extra time or win by 3 goals if need be.
Bodo?
That's why I'm going to be honest. I think neutrals would want United Tottenham. Of course, you would. I'd feel safer playing Bodo because we've already played in the stadium that the final is being played in. We just played in it on Thursday and won 3-0. So in terms of there's a mental thing there. We've just won there. I think that would really favor us if we played Bodo. Tottenham, anything could happen, and you guys would enjoy it. I would recommend watching that
Oh,
game.
I mean, we've seen you guys play each other in the Premier League and the Cup, like with the whole Fraser Forster episode. Like, I don't know what
And
happened
they've
there.
beaten us, Dan. We
Yeah,
haven't beaten them this season. They've beaten us three times. Yeah, well, we haven't beaten them. I
they've
think
all
we've played
been
them three
high
times.
scoring games. Correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong. I think
Yeah, yeah.
that'd be good.
4-3 was one of them.
It'd be a good advert for football, but you as a United fan and obviously Spurs fans would hate that. It's not what you want in the cup final. You want calm, steady football, and neither of those two teams are going to bring that to the table.
Yeah, with what's on the line, I would love just a Bodo Glimt final. But I get like in terms of like for example how Leon went. If you want the most incredible night, Tottenham and United will be a final and a half. So it will be interesting because then it will come down to who wins that. We'll play potentially Arsenal in the Super Cup. Who knows how that goes? So it's nice to see us, despite being so far down the league, still involved. By the way, I don't like the narrative that the media have created this week about how you should only get Europa League if you win Europa League. I don't get why this is an issue now that Man United are in the final. I feel like this was something that was brought up when we were last in it. I did, it's This happens to be one season where teams like us and Tottenham have benefited and got to the final. It's not a God-given right that we get to the final. There are so many opportunities where we could have lost, and the teams that would have got there would really benefit. For example, Bodo Glimt, who probably have to do a million qualification rounds before they could get to it. So I think by saying United shouldn't get Champions League from winning Europa or anyone should, you're neglecting and just acting a bit entitled. You're neglecting all the other teams that could possibly win it as well. It's not like United win it every year or the best team always wins it every year, the most valuable team. So I think that's just a whole silly narrative. I'm surprised that Arsene Wenger put his two pence into that as well, considering he used to call top four. I'm not. I'm just going to repeat the same joke, but he used to say fourth place is a trophy. So I don't get this narrative that they've made. I think it just comes down to the hatred for our club, but I'm fine with it. It doesn't matter because we're going to get Champions League either way if we win. So
And your
yeah,
okay, so your thoughts on obviously the Brentford game? Obviously, it was a heavily rotated team,
yeah,
heavily rotated team at that. Obviously, the Premier League don't fine teams for changing the 11s anymore. Otherwise, you probably would have been hit with some sort of fine. But how do you feel your players performed? Obviously,
yeah. I mean,
in that match.
I got in a massive argument with my friends over this game because I said that was a brilliant result for us. I thought it was actually like the word brilliant is what they were annoyed about because first of all, we've lost 4-0 to Brentford. We don't always beat Brentford. We struggle against Thomas Frank in this stadium. So for our second team to come out and lose 4-3, I thought was a very good result. I was expecting more. As long as it wasn't historical, I thought it was an okay, just forget about it result. Doesn't matter to us. Brentford are actually going for a European spot. So this game not only is the team already better than us this season? They are better than us in the sense that they beat us head to head most of the time, and they're actually playing for something. And we rotate our squad. So with all that combined, we lost 4-3. I don't get some people that overreact to things like this because we do have our fan base is so big. You'll have people that will look at this game and start saying, well, Amram this, Amram that. Maybe Amram should go, and maybe this person wasn't good enough. But I just don't look at too deep into these games. For me, these games are about finding gems. And for example, unfortunately didn't find any gems. They didn't play that well, the kids. But Fredrickson was a kid that played. He had one good game now. He had a bad one. Maybe he could learn from it, improve. Obviously, it doesn't give me hope for the future with some of the like Amas. He looks okay on the ball. Doesn't look physically up for the Premier League at the moment. But it's good. You learn about players because they get put into the place that you'd want them to be playing, and are they actually good enough? And that's what we should continue doing. Keep playing the kids in these league matches. They don't matter. We could possibly end up in 17th. We have a big 6 pointer against West Ham, I think. I think it's next week, and if West Ham beat us there, then 17th is where we'll end up this season, which it's shocking. It's like not even something you can comprehend, but that's where we are at, and it doesn't matter. We're not getting relegated. So
I mean, as you said before, like obviously you said you weren't going to win the league for a certain amount of years and so on and so on. So obviously for you putting youngsters out against teams, for example, like your Brentford, your Newcastle, your so on, they're going to be teams you're going to be competing with when you're going to have to build. You're not going to come in next season and win the league. It's highly unlikely that's going to happen. You're going to be competing
yeah.
like in phases. And as you said, a 4-3. I saw it get to 4-1. I don't know whether I didn't watch the game. I don't know whether Brentford took their foot off the gas. I don't know what happened there.
No, we just scored two bangers. Garnacho
Oh,
scored a good one, and then Ahmad scored a banger as well. Well,
yeah.
not really keep a mistake, but it from like efforts from outside the box. But yeah.
I have been keeping an eye on Harry Amass since you stolen from my football club. So
He's very
I
composed, but I don't know what country he could fit in. I
I
don't
think
know if England is the right
I'm
place for
pretty
him to
sure he
play
is
football.
English, but obviously.
No, no, like not in
Oh, in
that
terms,
sense,
okay,
but
yeah, oh, okay,
yeah, he is English. But I'm saying
yeah.
like he might have to end up playing in Spain or something because he's very gifted on the ball, but he's not there physically. He gets bullied, and that was
Yeah,
inevitable.
he was in the youth setups when he was with us, like the young age groups and stuff like that. So he's obviously
Maybe
been
alone.
trained a certain way. Yeah, again, he's still young, as you said. They've all got time.
Yeah.
But I suppose
Daniel,
Amir. Well, I was going to say before we get on to me and my news, um, Amir's not here. So Elliot, would you like to have your laugh at Chelsea for 2 seconds? They did win both their games.
well,
Didn't
they
they?
did. Yeah,
They
there's
did win
not
both their
much to
games.
laugh about for Chelsea. To be fair, they're doing pretty well at the moment. They're obviously in. I'm presuming they will be, but they've got that one more game to play against that Polish club that I think to get into the conference final.
Garden or
They
however.
obviously just beat Liverpool 2-1, which is pretty good. Again,
Three, but yeah.
3-1, sorry, 3-1. Yeah, they're doing spot on at the moment. I can't complain about them really. To be fair, I've got to give kudos where it's due. Fair play to them. Obviously, they'll probably win that conference final and they'll wave that above our head if we don't win it because they'll be like, we're the only club to win every single competition, blah, blah, blah. But it seems to be Betis at the moment. You see Anthony Chavez, he looks pretty good for them, so he might give them some
Yeah.
good
It's
competition
not.
in the
I actually
final.
think that'll be their first genuine game though, because so far the teams we're playing, we can barely pronounce them. At
Yeah,
least
well, that's
Betis are
it.
an
That's it.
actual team.
The
Yeah.
actual footballing establishment.
Hector
Yes.
Bellerin in return. So yeah, so it's fair play to him. Obviously, they'll be looking for top four as well because conference only gets you exclusive entry into the Europa if you don't qualify for Champions League. So who knows? But yeah, fair play to them at the moment. There's not much to add from my point of view.
I think moving on to me. In a
Tom
in
Cleverley, Dan.
no, in football league news, congratulations to Birmingham for breaking the points record in a league season in England. They got 111 points, breaking Reading's 106 previously. Um,
No.
and I don't know if you guys would have seen this. You probably wouldn't have. Did you hear what happened to Walsall?
No.
So they were 12 points clear at the top of the league in December. Went on a 13-match winless run, and on the final day they scored going into injury time. They were currently winning 1-0 and heading for automatic promotion. Bradford scored in the 96th minute, pushing them back down into the playoffs. Obviously, Bradford going into second place and going up
Is this
automatically.
in the
That was
champion?
no,
No.
that
League
was
Two.
League Two. Yeah. So how can
Nice.
you
Jesus
be?
Christ.
How can you be top of the league, 12 points clear, go on a 13-game winless run, um, and
Christ.
bottle it in the 96th minute of the last game of the season? But yeah, on to Watford news.
Oh, one thing, Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is in the championship now.
Oh yeah, and well yeah, I don't count them as a footballing club in the English Football League because
We're one season away from them being the
I mean yeah, I will be at Wrexham away next season, so I'm sure you're looking forward to it.
Oh
As I said,
yeah.
as I said last week, Deadpool celebrating in the home and the away end when they inevitably beat us, especially as it stands because now we do not have a manager. Thank you very much, Gino Pozzo, you idiot. No one
Yeah, explain
expect
it, Dan.
no one expected this. I think on the face of it, um, we picked up 25 points since the turn of the year, which isn't brilliant. Away form was terrible, but in terms of the squad, as I said, I said it myself in the preseason predictions. I had us down at 17th, which obviously is in a relegation scrap in the Championship with being 24 teams. But we finished 13th, 14th. It was mid-table. We did better than last season in terms of points totals and wins and so on and things like that. And the team was terrible. The squad was terrible. We had a lot of injuries and things like that to key players. So for him to, well, as I said, I've said obviously with updates and with you guys and stuff, we were within the playoffs or in a shout with the playoffs up until the Easter
last couple
weekend.
of
So with
weeks.
yeah 4 or 5 games to go, don't get me wrong, we wouldn't have won the playoffs. It's just nice to be involved in the chasing
Yeah.
pack really. But no, literally the fact that like I genuinely saw it on Instagram and had to double click to make sure that it wasn't a fake account just spewing some random news, obviously because Watford go through managers like I've had hot dinners. Do you know what I mean? It's no one knows who's next. We've been tipped for the world's two greatest ex-footballers turn managers in Wayne Rooney and Steven Gerrard. And if either of those two get the job, I'm going to rip the rest of my hair out and not enjoy next season. Um, like in terms of the actual ownership and stuff like that, season ticket renewals have already been paid for and as far as I'm concerned, finished. And the season obviously finished for us on Saturday. So they've waited until they've taken our money and the season's finished. There's no backlash, and then just sacked him. Um, So any of the money that we could have had going into next season to put into a transfer budget is now being given to Tom Cleverley and the backroom staff that have been sacked.
Oh,
So
that is bad.
obviously, we haven't got enough money as a club as it is because we're relying on loan players and Udinese deals. Um, so I don't know what the actual outcome of the board or anything like that is, but I believe Gino Pozzo is still being investigated in Spain for some money laundering issues. And if that's the case, I wish him the worst at this point. I wish him the very worst. Like you're just
Dan, it's the type of sacking where they've put pressure on themselves because now the next person they hire, forget about who it is, whoever it is, has to do better than what Cleverly did. Because why would you then go out of your way to spend money to sack and
well,
replace?
but again,
Shocking.
if you look at our squad from a fan's point of view, both of our left backs this season, we've got three on the books. Both of them that were consistently starting are loans. Our striker, who albeit Bayo wasn't great, was a loan. We've got gaps in the squad. We're going to lose probably two or three of our four better players. Um, it's just going to be a summer of we've now got no manager and asset stripping. Players have come out and gone, thanks, you've been the best manager that we've had, and like under them and so on. And yeah,
Where
I don't
does he
know.
rank?
I think in terms of like obviously we had the FA Cup final, and then since then it's been downhill. We've had promotions, relegations. The whole thing's been a mess. I think since then we've had 13 managers since the playoff final. But I think 15 if you include the caretaker managers, which are obviously only in for a few games. So we'll settle for 13. We won't make it look as bad. I think he's genuinely been the best one in terms of togetherness. Like you speak to Watford fans and stuff like that, people have hated going to football. I mean, I've been sitting there at points going, is that just like it's just funny? Like you're sitting there, we can see it go, and I'm like, that was going to happen, sort of thing. But in terms of like togetherness and actual bringing the fans together, and like he gets the club, obviously, Chavez being a United fan, he's come on loan from us. He was obviously turned into a
Yeah.
loanee to a club captain to an under 18s manager through the academy management, and now he was a first team manager. Um, for 15 months. So obviously he knows the club inside out. And he put in his like goodbye post on Instagram that he was like he wasn't born or raised in Watford, but he like it feels like a home to him, which obviously is
Mm.
cliche and with the random spiel that you always get. But for someone to
But he's
come
backed
through
it
it,
up.
for
Yeah.
someone to come through a club like that and then be a manager, obviously he's going to go. Look, we talked with Rob Edwards. We sacked him. He went to Luton, got them promoted. Um, which we'll get onto. I'll get onto Luton in a second just to laugh. But and then again, I think it's going to happen with Cleverly. He's going to go to someone and probably in with a shout at playoffs next season. But just before I end, Luton enjoy League One. That made my weekend. But yeah, that's it from me for my
That's your saving grace.
EFL. Yeah, but this is what I put on the comments of the video I did earlier. I put Luton got back-to-back relegations. There's four clubs that have done that. It's Wolves, Sunderland, Luton, and I can't remember the other one off the top of my head. But yeah, we're now the bigger laughing stock, and we finished mid-table and exceeded everyone's expectations, apart from our deluded owners, apparently.
Mm.
I think that brings us probably to the end of the episode. Obviously, we'll have to
Feels
see.
like the end of the season.
Yeah, well, it
It
is for
basically
us.
is if everything goes
Yeah.
wrong for
It's
us, Chavez.
if
Yeah.
literally
Imagine we both go out, then we might as well just
if
pack it.
genuinely Amir could be the only one on this podcast next week. He could be doing it solo. Genuinely, we'd have nothing to play for.
Yeah.
So that was it. Thank you very much for watching, and until next week, goodbye.